Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles, and it's the introduction of the Royal Navy Ark in patch 0.7.9 today. Well, it's today when I'm recording the video, it's yesterday, if you're watching it on the day that the video was released. Well, I suppose you could have been playing on the North American server, in which case you would have had this for 2 days already. Yeah, I really didn't think that one through. Anyway, the Royal Navy Ark is here, and it's actually jolly good. Of course it is. It's the Royal Navy. And aside from the Royal Navy mission directives, which we'll be taking a look at in a moment, they're also sort of, but not quite, introducing the Royal Navy destroyers. I say sort of, but not quite, because you can't yet research and unlock them in the tech tree. But you can earn them for free by opening Royal Navy crates, which you can earn just by playing the game. Opening Royal Navy crates has a chance of dropping a bonus personal assignment to unlock the British Tier 5, 6, 7 and 8 destroyers. Once you get one of these personal assignments, actually unlocking the associated destroyer is, well, it's fairly simple. For the British Tier 5, for example, HMS Cossack, all you have to do is earn 10,000 experience. 12,000 for the Tier 6, 14,000 for the Tier 7 and 16,000 for the Tier 8, and all of these missions can run concurrently. So for example, if you have the mission for the Tier 5 and 6 running at the same time, as soon as you've earned 10,000 experience and unlocked the Tier 5, that means you only have a further 2,000 experience to go in order to unlock the Tier 6, and so on and so on. There is one further British destroyer that's available in the current patch, and that's HMS Cossack, a tribal class destroyer, and it's in-game as a premium Tier 8. However, you earn the Cossack slightly differently. You see, there are two currencies that have been introduced. Similar to the 3rd anniversary tokens, we now have Royal Navy tokens, and they come in two flavours, sovereigns and guineas. You earn sovereigns by opening Royal Navy containers, which you can earn just by playing the game, or if you're short of time and long on cash, you can buy them in the premium shop. And just like the 3rd anniversary tokens from the previous event, these are spent in the arsenal on all manner of shiny Royal Navy things, like the Warspite, the Gallant, Union Jack camos for your ships, a permanent camouflage skin for HMS Gallant, the return of Bert Dunkirk, 10-point Royal Navy captain, various different signal flags, and Royal Navy containers. What you cannot purchase with sovereigns, however, is HMS Cossack. That's going to cost you 50 guineas, and the only way to earn the guineas is by completing the mission directives in the Royal Navy Ark. And here they are. At the moment, 4 different directives, although on the day of release only directives 1 and 2 were available, but 3 and 4 should be unlocked by the time you see this video. Each directive contains a set of missions. For example, get 15 spotted ribbons. Fairly straightforward, and you don't have to be sailing British destroyers or even British ships in order to do this, just any ship of Tier 5 or higher. Second order, earn 1.5 million credits. And don't forget, you can complete these missions over any number of battles. Third order, do a mere 15,000 hit points worth of damage to enemy ships. Fourth order, earn 10,000 experience. And it's only the final order in this directive which requires that you're actually sailing British destroyers. Obviously you can do this if you have HMS Gallant, the British Premium Tier 6. If not, then just wait until you get the bonus mission to unlock the British Tier 5, 6, 7 or 8 destroyers from opening the British Ark containers, and come back and do it whenever you're ready. Not completing this mission is not going to stall your progress to Directive 2. You only have to complete any 3 of these missions in order to unlock Directive 2. And Directive 2 looks like this. This isn't like the other campaign arcs that we've seen in World of Warships, where you have to pick the missions that you want to do. Once you've unlocked access to a mission, the mission is permanently active until you've completed it. Oh, and completing a directive awards you a guinea. I should probably have mentioned that. Quite important, because guineas are what you use to buy HMS Cossack, the premium Tier 8. But it's worth remembering that even though I've now unlocked, for example, Directive 2, the missions that I haven't yet completed in Directive 1 are still running. I don't have to pick and choose which missions I want to have active at any given time. They're all active, as long as you've unlocked them. So, HMS Cossack, Premium British Tier 8 Tribal Class Destroyer. It's going to cost you 50 guineas in the arsenal. But the maximum number of guineas that you can actually earn by playing the game and completing the various different missions, directives and orders is 48. So what that means is the Cossack isn't actually going to be free, but the number of guineas that you've earned are going to reduce the amount that you're going to have to actually pay to buy the Cossack. And I have been told that if you've earned the maximum amount of guineas, 48, then the actual price that you'll pay for the Cossack will be around $1 or €1 or less. Sounds like a bargain, but is she worth it? Well, she's probably worth $1, I mean. But is she a good ship? Well, I'll let you draw your own conclusions, because coming up right now in a world exclusive premiere is the first, and so far, only battle I have ever played in the Cossack. I say it's the only battle I have ever played because immediately afterwards I said, this is going onto YouTube. And I started doing this video. So, without any further ado, HMS Cossack, British Tier 8 Premium Tribal Class Destroyer, in a random battle in World of Warships. And as luck would have it, it was a Tier 10 battle. It is in fact a very Tier 10 battle. There are only 3 Tier 8s and 3 Tier 9s per team. Everybody else is Tier 10. So I wasn't feeling particularly confident about this being a great game. I mean, I could still do some damage. I can still be of use to the team. In fact, if I had to fight in a Tier 10 battle in any kind of Tier 8, I would always pick a destroyer. Because you can't shoot what you can't see. Well, okay, you can. Every destroyer captain in World of Warships has been blind fired at least once while hiding inside a smokescreen. But it's more difficult to kill what you can't see, particularly if you don't even suspect there's anything there in the first place. And in that respect, the Cossack is exceptional. Because with a concealment expert captain and the concealment mod, this ship only has a surface detection range of 5.5 kilometers. That's 100 meters better than the Shimakaze. Getting that close to an enemy ship, however, can prove rather hazardous to your health, which is the main reason why I was feeling pretty apprehensive about this, my first game in the Cossack, because the ship is kinda slow. Even with a speed flag equipped, and if you've got them spare, I do recommend you save them for the Cossack, because even with a speed flag equipped, this ship struggles to reach 36 knots. That is kinda slow for a destroyer. However, it does have an engine boost, and I highly recommend you save the engine boost consumable and never touch it until you need to get the hell out of there because you've just been spotted, or radared, or hydroed, or whatever. It is very much your get out of jail free card. It's not great because you're likely to be manoeuvring to avoid fire while using the engine boost, but you can probably expect to do around about 39 knots with the engine boost active. Again, not fantastic, but it's better than 36. Speaking of get out of jail free cards, you might have noticed that I appear to have 7 charges of smokescreen. Yeah, now that's with the superintendent skill and the premium smokescreen consumable. By default the ship has 5. But this is also a get out of jail free card, as I'll demonstrate in a moment. First, I've spotted the enemy Kiev. He's capping, he knows he's been spotted, and I was always going to spot him long before he spotted me. In fact, I actually have the detection edge over all of the destroyers in this game. Now, the Cossack only has the 1 torpedo launcher, and it doesn't get a torpedo reload booster. But this is a British torpedo launcher. You don't have to fire them all at the same time in a spread. You can fire them individually, which is what I've done, and launched them into the smokescreen, hiding that Kiev. And it's important now that I actually get inside the cap circle, because while I can't actually cap myself while the Kiev is sharing the same cap circle, well, because I'm here, neither can he. And I'm lighting up more targets for the team, and we're starting to take them under fire. And I know the Kiev is still inside that smokescreen somewhere. I know he's still contesting the cap. Well, not anymore. There's devastating strike. And first blood. So right now I'm feeling pretty good about capping Charlie for the team, but oh, hang on a minute. The cap is still contested. Well, it's not the Turpids. Oh shit, it's a Minotaur. Well, good news, I spotted a Minotaur. Bad news, he's less than 5 kilometers away, so it's time to hammer those panic buttons. There goes the smoke, there goes the speed boost, and I think he just hydroed me, but I should be far enough away to not be hydroed very, very soon. Enemy Yu Yang has just popped up and is shooting at me, and I've gone undetected. I'm still taking hits, but I've gone undetected, and I'm probably going to survive this. Now, do you see the smoke screen behind me? Obviously, as soon as I got spotted and realised there was a Minotaur right in front of me, I hammered both the speed boost and the smoke screen. But the smoke screen only lasts 10 seconds, or it only generates smoke for 10 seconds, so that's 2 puffs of smoke at the most. And those puffs of smoke only stick around for 40 seconds. This is not like other destroyers, where you sit inside your smoke screen, blazing away at spotted targets with your guns and torpedoes. It is very much a panic button. It's a, oh shit, I've been spotted, I need to get unspotted so I can get the hell out of here very, very quickly device. So that's good news for me, as I fire my torpedoes into the smoke screen occupied by the Minotaur. The torpedoes, by the way, have a 10-kilometer range. It's not good news for the Tirpitz, who came around here in order to try to draw some of the heat away from me, and has in fact just sailed into a spread of deep water torpedoes launched by the Yu Yang. I have to admit, I did feel pretty bad about that, but if I'd stuck around, I would have been next. No question about it. There was just far too much heat over there for a Tier 8 destroyer to be able to deal with. So, now what am I going to do? I can't contest Charlie anymore. The team's taken Alpha. And we're in the process of taking Bravo. I'm actually in this battle with a clanmate. I didn't realise until halfway through the game. The Shimakaze player, Urbiwan, is actually also in my clan. And you may notice something very rare happening in chat. The team are actually communicating with each other and trying to decide where best to employ their destroyers. And right now, they're requesting support all the way over on the western flank to deal with... there's a Fletcher and a Harugamo. Okay. Well, I'm up for it, but I am a little slow. So, while we're on our way over there, let's talk a little bit about the history of the Cossack, because this ship does actually have quite an interesting story attached to it. She's probably not very popular with Norway. And for very good reason. How to put this? The story of the Cossack is actually bound up in the story of the Graf Spee. Graf Spee, of course, was scuppered by her captain at the Battle of the River Plate. But prior to that, she'd taken various different prisoners during her depredations in the South Atlantic. And those prisoners were transferred from the Graf Spee to the Altmark, which was a merchantman that Germany was using to resupply the Graf Spee. And with her cargo of British prisoners, the Altmark, after the loss of the Graf Spee, returned across the Atlantic to Germany. Didn't quite get as far as Germany, however. She was spotted en route by Royal Air Force Hudsons while in Norwegian territorial waters. Now, while this wasn't technically a violation of Norwegian neutrality, because at the time Norway was still a neutral country in World War II and had not yet been occupied and invaded by Germany, it was kind of stretching the point a little, because while it's okay to sail a prison ship through neutral waters, the Altmark wasn't just a prison ship. Don't forget, she was returning to Germany from a mission which had involved assisting and tending to the Graf Spee, which was very much a warship. So technically you could argue that she was returning to Germany from a war mission and was therefore violating Norwegian neutrality by returning to Germany via Norwegian territorial waters. At least that's the opinion that the British Admiralty presented to the Norwegian government when they demanded they do something about it. Understandably, Norway was kind of reluctant. They really didn't want to antagonise Germany because they knew they were just a hair's breadth away from being occupied in order to protect the iron ore trade that the German war machine was utterly dependent on. The question of whether or not the Altmark was legally violating Norwegian neutrality at the time has never been answered, because the case never got to court, because the Royal Navy wasn't prepared to sit around and wait for that to happen. And so HMS Cossack, under the command of Captain Sir Philip Vian, was dispatched to intercept the Altmark. which she did. The ship was seized and the prisoners were rescued. It's safe to say that Germany wasn't particularly happy about this. It's also probably safe to say that the entire incident was seized upon by Germany as one of the justifications for their subsequent invasion and occupation of Norway. Yeah, sorry about that, Norway. Oh, hang on, there's the Fletcher. I actually came around this side hoping to spot this guy and thought he was in that smoke screen lurking around the side of the island that I was looking at, but well, there he is, presenting a very, very nice target. So I'm going to pop my incredibly short duration smoke screen to at least allow me to get a couple of shots off undetected once I reduce speed sufficiently. And we're going to start to attempt to do some damage to that Fletcher American Tier 9 destroyer. And I have taken a hit. I think that was from the Bismarck on the other side, so I'm going to have to stop shooting relatively soon. Sorry, not the Bismarck, the Hindenburg. Bit of a Jingles moment there. Right, yeah. Yeah, I don't want to get shot at by a Hindenburg at that kind of range. So, let's open the distance and pursue the Fletcher. If I can't shoot him, I can at least spot him. Get some torpedoes away against the Hindenburg because, hey, you never know your luck. And let's see what we can do about these two. So the Harugumo's down. That's good. The Fletcher's still out there. The St. Louis. See what the Hindenburg is doing. He's not shooting at me. That's good. Well, nobody's shooting at me. I'm not spotted. I only have a 5.5 kilometre surface detection range. Let's get a little closer. There's the Fletcher again. And I do like it when there are enemy ships spotted and they're not shooting at me. So let's see what we can do to assist. I do like the guns on the Cossack, by the way. I mean, this is my first game in the thing, so my aiming isn't particularly good, but it's got 8 of them. It's a lot like the Hyder. They are in fact the same guns as on the Hyder, although the ammunition isn't quite the same. The Hyder's high explosive shells are exceptionally good. They do 1900 maximum damage each. The ones on the Cossack aren't quite that good, but they're still pretty good. 1700 damage per hit. But it's got more of them. The Hyder only has 6 guns. The Cossack has 8. It really is amazing. Fletcher got torpedoed by the Shimakaze. That just leaves the St. Louis. I am, however, being targeted by the St. Louis. Okay, he's on the map border, so I'm going to need to adjust my aim. Yeah, the aim assist lock-on in World of Warships always struggles with targets that are partially outside the map. Oh wow, I've lost a turret. It's one of the rear turrets. And my steering's gone, but I've got last stand, so I can continue to move and steer despite the damage. And he's probably not going to survive long. No, there we go. Done. Okay, St. Louis. Well, technically it's French. The Saint Louis is dead. The Fletcher is dead. The Harugumo is dead. And it looks like the team are now requesting assistance all the way back over at the other side of the map again. So, speed boost up. Let's make our way over to where we're needed and continue the story of HMS Cossack. The captain of the Cossack during the Altmark incident, I mentioned, went by the name of Captain Sir Philip Vian. He ended up Admiral of the Fleet and was actually in command of the British Carrier Task Force deployed to support the Americans in the Pacific after the defeat of Germany. They weren't particularly useful, it does have to be said. The British carriers didn't have air conditioning, for example, and they couldn't operate as many aircraft, and temperatures below decks would often exceed 100 degrees Fahrenheit. But they did have armoured flight decks. And don't forget, this was at the time when Japan was really on the bones of her arse and was starting to conduct large-scale kamikaze attacks. A couple of the British carriers were hit by kamikaze strikes, but in one case, she was fully operational again within an hour. I think that was HMS Indefatigable. And in the other case, and I can't remember the name of the ship involved, she was fully operational and conducting flight deck operations again within 5 hours of the kamikaze strike. And it was pretty much all down to those armoured flight decks. In fact, a US Navy liaison officer on board HMS Indefatigable is quoted as having said, "When a kamikaze hits a US carrier, it means 6 months of repair at Pearl Harbor. When a kamikaze hits a limey carrier, it's just a case of sweepers man your brooms." So, yeah. Having said that, though, the British carriers in the Pacific were not particularly useful. They just weren't really built for it, and we were only really tolerated there in the interests of international cooperation by the Americans. It was very much their show. Right, I've decided I'm going to go after that Hindenburg, because everything else is just too far away and I'm just not fast enough. The problem here is that Yamato was looking like he could use a torpedo as well, and I only have one torpedo launcher. Now, if I was in something like the Harugamo or the Kitakaze, which also only has one torpedo launcher, I'd have to choose between the two targets, unless the torpedo reload booster was up and ready to go. But because I'm in the Cossack, I can single fire my torpedoes. So we're sending 3 in the direction of the Hindenburg, and we're going to send 1 in the direction of the Yamato, just in case he hasn't been sunk by gunfire by the time the torpedo gets there. Speaking of torpedoes, I've just popped my hydro. Not that I'm actually expecting any torpedoes, but it's kind of like the Hyder's hydroacoustic search in that it has a short range, 3 kilometers, but it lasts forever, so it's definitely going to last until the end of the match, and hey, you never know. The Yamato has died without any further assistance from me. The team are at 974 points, and this match is probably going to be over very soon, so if I want to get any further damage done, I'm going to pop the smoke, which should last until the end of the match, even if it is only 40 seconds, and start shooting at the Hindenburg. But it looks like he is in fact sailing straight into the torpedoes that I launched a couple of minutes ago. And, well, I'll take it. And so that was nearly 1 million credits earned in my very first, and so far only, game in HMS Cossack. 11,000 experience, 7,000, nearly 7,700 free experience. Devastating strike and first blood. I am, of course, running a whole bunch of various different credit and experience boosting flags, but still pretty nice, especially considering I actually came top of the team. It's not often that happens. But that one battle in the Cossack completed 3 of the first directive missions in the Royal Navy Ark, which of course instantly unlocked the second directive in the Royal Navy Ark, and went 2/3 of the way to completing a 4th mission in the first directive, the one where you have to earn 1.5 million credits. So yeah, like I said, I'll take it. Not bad for one battle. And that's the Cossack. That's what you can expect to be spending your hard-earned guineas on. Or if you're impatient and you just can't wait, then she's not available for sale just yet, but I'm pretty sure you can probably expect to see her in the premium shop before too long. And that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.